The long-awaited construction of the Sanyang Seaport is set to come into fruition. This is a step towards the right direction for the country. However, there is a massive concern hovering over this project. We decided to dig into the dealings of the contractor, which is Albayrak, and we have found lots of serious red flags. These are serious red flags that could lead to the Sanyang Seaport construction project being a massive failure. In this video, we are going to look at these red flags, with the brutal of them being Albayrak's ugly reputation around the globe. Albayrak's ugly reputation suggests that the Gambia is in for a special nightmare of a treat. This could lead to the Gambia benefiting significantly less from the construction of the Sanyang Seaport, with massive financial implications for the country. Worryingly, the media has decided not to talk about this. No one is talking about this. Are we the only ones seeing this? This is so unbelievable. We will let the cat out of the bag. We will talk about the ridiculous pricing, the abhorrent contract, and most importantly, Albayrak's ugly reputation. Ensure you stay till the end and watch us blow your mind and raise your levels of anxiety to 90 to 100% regarding the Sanyang Seaport. Let's do a critical appraisal of this project. Let's dive right in. The President of the Republic of the Gambia has just triggered the beginning of the construction of the Sanyang Seaport. Now this in of itself is a big achievement, and we hereby applaud the President Adama Barrow. We thank the President for this vision of going for a much larger and sustainable port to aid and complement the service of the struggling port of Banjul. Eventually the service of the port will be moved from Banjul to Sanyang. This has been a widely anticipated project that is long overdue and should have been executed as early as decades ago. So this is a landmark achievement for the President of the Great Republic of the Gambia, Adama Barrow, and we still applaud your move. Just to make this clear, we are only happy and applauding the President for the vision of wanting to construct the seaport of Sanyang. This is because we are so worried and nervous of the structure of the project, and you are to be equally worried. So don't be too excited, because this is highly likely to end up hurting the Gambia very badly. The government has not been open and transparent regarding the concessions or agreements or terms and conditions of the deal, and anywhere the Gambian government is not transparent, there is a foul play going on. This is the same for the construction of the seaport of Sanyang. But why is the Gambian government keeping the contracts and agreements hidden from the general public? And how will this end up hurting the Gambia? After dissecting this issue, everything will become clear. We are sorry if this video ends up taking away your joy regarding the construction of the Sanyang Seaport. Let's dive in deep and make things clear. Now, let's face it. The Gambian government is never transparent in their dealings, with reports suggesting over 89% of these dealings behind closed doors always end up being fraudulent in some way. Over the years, the Gambian government has been criticized for a lack of transparency, often withholding crucial information from the public. A 2023 survey by Afrobarometer found that 68% of Gambians believe their government rarely or never shares important information with citizens, especially on issues related to national budgets, contracts, and international agreements. This secrecy has fueled public distrust and raised serious concerns about the government's commitment to the principles of accountability over a national property. One striking example of these shady dealings involves the handling of natural resource contracts. According to a report by the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, EITI, over $23 million in mining and fishing contracts signed between 2018 and 2022 remain unpublished, with little to no public scrutiny or parliamentary oversight. Several of these contracts were awarded without competitive bidding, raising red flags about potential corruption and favoritism. Activists have argued that these backroom agreements deny Gambians their rightful share of the country's wealth. The issue extends beyond contracts. In 2021, the Ministry of Health was embroiled in controversy when an internal audit revealed that $4.6 million in COVID-19 response funds could not be properly accounted for. Despite promises of an investigation, no official report was released, and no one was held responsible. This pattern of concealment and lack of consequences undermines public confidence and leaves many citizens questioning what else might be hidden behind closed doors in Banjul. All these are incontrovertible evidences that explicitly suggest that the Adama Barrow regime is not transparent in their dealings with the citizens. So you see, the Gambian government is far away from being trustworthy. Now this is where things are going to get a bit spicy, as we are about to talk about the ridiculous pricing, abhorrent contracts, and most importantly, Al Bayrak's ugly reputation. Now here is the catch. You will not be surprised considering the fact that we are talking about the Gambian government. This is a government that breathes secrecy, falsehood, and great financial ruin. The government is embroiled in secrecy as if the country is their personal property, falsehood as if the truth will put them into trouble, and massive financial ruin as if there is no such thing as accountability after leaving office. So, you see, you will not be surprised. However, there is one thing that's going to hit you hard and leave you worried about the construction of the Sanyang Seaport. This is Al Bayrak's ugly reputation. Boy, what we have found regarding Al Bayrak is massive, massive, massive red flag, and it should make any serious government not want to work with them. This is what we are about to talk about now. First, this is a humble request to please support our work by liking this video and subscribing to the African Pacific YouTube channel. A Gambian-owned channel looking into the happenings of the motherland that are often ignored by mainstream media. Please show your support by liking and subscribing. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Now let's look at the pricing for starters. The Gambia's proposed Sanyang Deep Seaport, budgeted at approximately $1 billion, has drawn criticism for its steep price tag. Serving a population under 3 million, the project's cost equates to over $11,000 per resident. Locals argue that the land acquisition alone accounts for an astonishing 100,000 hectares, a figure that dwarfs even larger regional counterparts, triggering concerns about inflated valuations and lack of transparency. A couple of years ago, the Gambia was visualizing the construction of another port to serve Senegal and the Sahelian countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Experts projected $500 million as the cost of construction, which the country could not afford.
To ease pressure on Banjul Port, the government wants to open another in the south of the country to serve parts of Senegal and landlocked Mali, among other countries. That port's development is expected to halve cargo delivery times. But that could cost the country up to $500 million. Money the country can't afford at the moment.
Now how did building a port of $500 million go all the way to $1 billion? Is it because the Gambia is not the one funding the Sanyang Deep Seaport, and other charges led to the $1 billion valuation? Certainly the government is just not transparent at all, which shows that something very peculiar could be taking shape. Now let's look at the overall contract. The Gambia Ports Authority, GPA, has entered a 30-year concession deal with Al Bayrak, a Turkish company, to take responsibility for the management of the port of Banjul. The deal involves the construction of a new $1 billion deep seaport at Sanyang Combo South. The Sanyang port is expected to be completed within 6 years. Officials say the overarching goal is to reclaim maritime traffic lost to neighboring ports due to outdated infrastructure. The exact terms and conditions of this deal still remain secret and not open to the public. However, this is what we know so far. The cost of the project is $1 billion, and it is going to be financed by Al Bayrak Group, who will equally take over the running of the port. This is a 30-year lease, 6 years ownership deal for the port of Banjul, and 24 years for the ownership of Sanyang Deep Seaport. This means that Al Bayrak will own the Sanyang Seaport. The project is in the Gambia, but it is owned by Al Bayrak for 24 years in turn for their $1 billion investment, which is essentially a debt. They will make money from the Sanyang Seaport for 24 years. How will the Gambia government benefit from the seaport throughout this 24-year Al Bayrak ownership? This is not yet clear, and we will continue digging deeper. But is this a good deal in the first place? Our findings suggest that it is not a good deal, and we have talked about it in one of our incoming videos. Watch out for it. But one thing is clear though, if the government had prioritized investing in assets to generate income for the country, they would have been able to invest in the construction of this Sanyang port. This is why here at African Pacific, we always stress the importance of investing in assets instead of road construction. Now let's look at Al Bayrak's ugly reputation. This will leave you worried and disheartened. But first, this is a humble reminder to please like this video and subscribe to the African Pacific YouTube channel. Please show your support by liking and subscribing. Thank you so much. Al Bayrak has a very ugly reputation. It's quite evident that either the government did not do adequate due diligence on Al Bayrak or kickbacks were a convincing factor. We decided to long into Al Bayrak's dealings with other African countries, and guess what? The findings were simply alarming, and it should be a massive red flag for any serious government. So we are to be worried as Gambians. It suggests that Al Bayrak should not be trusted, not to talk of doing business with them. Here's what we found out about Al Bayrak. Al Bayrak Group has built a fairly unsavory reputation across multiple African port projects, mainly due to accusations of opaque contracts, revenue skimming, and political manipulation. In Guinea's Conakry port deal, Al Bayrak secured an 82% share of port duties over 25 years in what critics called the rip-off of the century, exempting the Guinean state from customs duties and tax for a decade, and fundamentally altering the concession in its favor. Meanwhile, recent reports in the Gambia suggest the Al Bayrak Negmar consortium lacked proper documentation, no third-year financials or clear capex plans, raising concerns about their capacity to manage the Banjul port. In Somalia, Al Bayrak's record at the Mogadishu port concession is even more troubling. Upon taking over, official port revenue jumped from $6 million to as much as $12 million per month, yet the company reported only $2.7 million, effectively slashing the government's revenue share from 55% to about 16%, while their share rose from 45% to 84%. So you see, this is what Gambia is equally likely to face. The deal was also struck without parliamentary approval, lacked transparency, and allegedly involved wage theft and lawsuits over rape cover-ups and bribery. Beyond these explicit financial manipulations, Al Bayrak's playbook often involves non-transparent concession awards, frequently through backdoor political deals. In the Gambia, the winning bid reportedly passed over technically superior offers like Bolloré, prompting accusations that President Barrow interfered to push through Al Bayrak's bid, sidelining stronger competitors like DP World and Marsa Maroc. Critics warn that such methods lock host countries into 30-year agreements with 80-20 ratio revenue splits heavily skewed in Al Bayrak's favor. The community and civil society backlash is widespread. In Guinea, labor unions condemned the Conakry deal, with unions planning strikes and workers fearing replacement under Al Bayrak's authority. In the Gambia, NGOs and opposition parties have taken the concession to court, arguing it violates national laws by bypassing parliamentary review, PPP legislation, and lacking transparency. These tensions underline just how fractious Al Bayrak's contracts often become, breeding mistrust and suspicion among local stakeholders long after deals are signed. Furthermore, public sentiment paints Al Bayrak as part of a neo-colonial drive by Turkey in strategically fragile African nations. In Somalia, Reddit users expressed resentment, saying things like, "They got our main port in Mogadishu, flooding goods into Somalia and NGOs as well." Another noted, "Never forget Turkey's aim is to build a neo-colonial empire, and Somalia was the first stop." This perception of politically driven influence and exploitation, combined with alleged financial manipulation and legal irregularities, has left Al Bayrak with an ugly reputation, marked by contract disputes, reduced state revenues, and deep public distrust in multiple African nations. So you see, the Gambia is in for a special nightmare of a treat, all thanks to the government's decision to work with Al Bayrak despite these massive red flags. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Thanks for watching and stay safe.